On this episode of Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery, I'm going to explain to you that during your quest in transitioning to a fee-based financial planning business model, one of the pillars you're going to need to have really strong relationships with in your business is your insurance MGA, your insurance broker. And so we're going to talk today a lot about what you need to have in place to have a great relationship with your insurance broker so that you can make sure that you're giving yourself every leg up you possibly can into building a proper community that you can associate with, but also making sure that you avoid the dreaded revenue dip or the feared dreaded revenue dip that a lot of financial planners fear they're going to experience when they transition to a fee-based financial planning business model.
Running a successful fee-based financial planning business is tough, and escaping the shackles of a commission-based financial planning practice is terrifying. When all you want to do is learn from those who know, learn from financial planners who are there on the front lines doing it each and every day. What if you could just open their kimono and take a look inside to learn what works and what doesn't? Now there's a place where the secrets to running a fee-based financial planning business are revealed to those who believe. Fee-based Financial Planning Mastery. Ease your mind.
Hi everyone, it's Scott Plaskett here, and thanks for joining me. In this podcast, you will learn what's working and what's not in the world of fee-based financial planning. In each episode, I'm going to open my kimono and let you take an insider's look at what's working and what's not in my practice to help you take your business to the next level. I've been a fee-based certified financial planner since the early 90s, so believe me, I know the challenges you're facing. So get ready to learn not from a teacher, coach, or guru, but from a colleague who's on the front lines just like you. And I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my email internet newsletter to get the most up-to-date tips on how to build and grow your fee-based financial planning practice by going to feebasedfinancialplanningmastery.com.
And now for our feature segment.
So let me just give you a bit of an outline for what I want to talk to you about today. Having a supportive and proper MGA or insurance relationship is critical to the success and the successful migration to a fee-based financial planning business model. The purpose of this section is to show you how choosing the proper MGA can significantly contribute to you as a business owner feeling confident with your move to fee-based. The benefit to taking the time now to really determine what support you require, what suppliers you need access to, what your technology requirements are, what your processing requirements are, and how to determine if the bonus levels being offered to you are the best to support your needs will allow you to negotiate the best possible relationship with your MGA. My goal is to outline for you what I feel is important so you can establish a better relationship to properly support the insurance side of your business. An MGA is a critical component to a fee-based financial planning business model. This relationship provides you access to the insurance implementation solutions and strategies that will support the financial plans you're implementing for your clients. Establishing a relationship with an MGA who supports what you require from the relationship allows you to experience a revenue increase as opposed to the dreaded revenue dip that financial planners face who don't have the proper relationships, support, and payout in place that lay the foundation required to make the transition to a fee-based practice possible. Establishing the right MGA relationship will allow you to create an infrastructure where everyone wins financially, not just the MGA. You're building a business and need to make a decision like a business owner to ensure your efforts are rewarded to you at the end of the day. By not establishing a proper MGA relationship, your revenues will be lower than they need to be. Your efforts will not build equity for you from your insurance implementation efforts, and your relationship with the MGA will be an adversarial one. And time spent directly generating revenue from this revenue stream will be reduced due to frustrating compliance and poor technology efficiencies. All of this will encourage a drastic revenue dip during your transition to a fee-based model, and will reduce your overall ongoing revenue from a poor bonus negotiation that will handcuff you from making the revenues necessary to thrive. Establishing a relationship with an MGA who supports a fee-based financial planning model will allow you to generate a higher revenue, build equity, and be part of a community that supports the fee-based financial planning business model. Building a fee-based financial planning business is easy when you have the right infrastructure in place. Establishing a relationship with an MGA who supports your new business model, who will compensate you properly, and who will provide you with access to a community of like-minded professionals is critical to your successful migrating your business to a fee-based financial planning business model. Without a business owner's mindset, one where you see how creating a bigger pie will garner greater value than trying to take a bigger piece of a smaller pie. This will allow you to see the value in aligning yourself with other like-minded business owners, which will provide you with greater overall wealth. So that's just a summary of what I wanted to go through today. I kind of wrote that out and just wanted to read that through to you, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be going through today. You know, it always amazes me how many financial planners I speak to who say, I really don't do a lot of insurance. It's just not a big part of my business. Now, I've tried to wrap my mind around why this is, and I believe it's because one or a combination of two things. You see, the first thing is they've probably migrated to the financial planning approach to their business from the investment side of the business and have never really honed their skills on how to properly structure an insurance portfolio to enhance the overall financial planning for their clients. Or they feel that by bringing insurance solutions to the table, it'll just kind of bring with it the negative stereotypes that come from the idea of insurance sales. And if you don't believe that those negative stereotypes are out there, I'm going to put a link in the show notes that I want you to click on. It's a YouTube video, and you watch that, and it pretty much paints, and you've probably seen the clip before, but it will paint every stereotype that you've ever seen on the sort of the smarmy insurance salesman. And so watch that. You'll get a good laugh out of it. But the reality is that there's an underlying current from that video that kind of does carry through in that industry. And it's too bad. And I think a lot of it, at the end of the day, just comes back to the fact that that industry has really never looked at fee-based and has really just always focused on embedded commissions and embedded revenue. And so it encourages people to sell solutions that are going to generate a higher commission for the agent. Not that's necessary, but it basically encourages the selling of the wrong product, because oftentimes the right product for a particular client might not generate the highest commission, and so the agents are trying to find ways of doing whatever they can in order to get those high commission products sold, and it just sort of encourages the wrong attitude. So, anyways, there's a video there that I think you'll find interesting for sure. Now, here's the reality. Properly structuring life and disability or life and living benefits insurance portfolios into your financial planning will not only create better financial planning experiences for your clients, but it will also allow you to generate a revenue stream that will enhance the value of your business. A financial plan that doesn't include a properly structured insurance portfolio is, in my mind, an incomplete financial plan. I've just seen too many situations where a properly structured insurance portfolio could have made a significant difference to a family's financial situation. But the problem is it's recognized after the fact, and poor planning just brings with it a lot of strife and frustration. Transitioning to a fee-based financial planning model without an insurance component of your financial planning process will simply make things more difficult for you. I'm not saying it's going to be impossible, but I am saying that if you're not bringing this component, this the leg of the three-legged stool, that proverbial three-legged stool, if you're not bringing this revenue stream and this solution and this area into your financial planning process, then really you are making things more difficult for yourself. And so, as I say, I've come across too many planners out there who just really don't embrace the insurance side of the business. And I think it's one of the most critical sides of the business when done properly. But it's also, as I say before, it can be done in the wrong way. And so by following a fee-based financial planning approach, you're going to be doing things the right way. You're going to be bringing to the table the right solutions at the right time. And so that's kind of what I want to get into talk about right now. So where do you start? Well, let's make sure you're aware of how to incorporate the development of a properly structured insurance portfolio into your financial planning process. So just as you did with the investment side of your financial planning process, you need to establish the ability to do two things. First, you need to be able to identify insurance opportunities so you can discuss them with your clients and, as you work through the financial planning process with them. And secondly, you need to be able to properly educate and motivate clients to move forward with the solutions that are right for them. So let's focus here on the first point, how to identify insurance opportunities to discuss with your clients. This is actually a lot easier than you think because you'll build this into your overall financial planning process. In previous discussions and previous writings, I've talked a lot about how if you know that there's something that's critical to your overall business that you need to make sure never gets overlooked, just build it into your process and force yourself to follow the process so that therefore you never miss the incorporating that component or having that discussion with your client. I tend to have my insurance discussions with clients after I've done the review of their retirement plan and their investment plan. And it's just kind of where I find it best sort of flows in with the whole process. When I present a financial plan to a client, I do it over 2 or 3 meetings. The first meeting is what I call Plan Presentation Part 1. And that's simply where, again, we've talked about the whole process of leading up to getting a client, and now this is the process of delivering and fulfilling the financial planning requirements to a client. So I go through Plan Presentation Part 1, and that's where I simply go through their retirement plan, their investment plan, and their education plan. Then once we've done that and we've had all those discussions, we go to Plan Presentation Part 2, which is where I talk more about life insurance, living benefits, and their estate planning. And then their final presentation, really it's just a review of the overall implemented financial planning strategies. And this is where I establish a client's new base plan, the place where all progress is benchmarked against going forward. So the final meeting, and sometimes it happens at the end of part 2, but generally it happens on a third meeting. That final meeting is saying, okay, everything is now done. We've implemented everything. You've now got your new solutions in place. We've implemented all of your insurance. We've done everything we needed to do. Here is now your starting point today. This is what we're going to use as your new base plan so that we can benchmark against it, because we know where we kind of want to be in the future, but if we don't manage and monitor the progress toward that goal and see where we are, every step of the way, we won't know if we're on track or not. And that really, at the end of the day, is the value of the whole financial planning process, not in the development of the financial plan, although that's where the heavy lifting is. The value in the financial planning process, and really what people are paying you for, is to keep them on track and to keep them, keep that whole plan maintained. And if anything starts to sort of move off target, then you want to bring them back on target. Financial planning, keep this in mind, financial planning should never, ever be rushed. I find that a lot of financial planners try to add value by being what they call efficient in their financial plan, in their plan presentations. And they try to cram in as much into the plan presentation meeting as possible. Now, all this does, and you've probably experienced this in your own work life, all this does is, I guess the reason for doing this, the financial planner is basically saying all of this is done in an effort to kind of respect the client's time. The planner's mindset is one of, I'm going to wow my client by showing them how much I've done for them through this meeting. And so they go and they cram so much into it. This may be what you've been taught from your head office. I mean, this is what a lot of head offices are preaching, to try and shorten the time to the sale. Well, the problem with this approach is that it's just going to lead you to frustration for your client, because the client feels that things are being rushed and that it all ends with you trying to sell them something. And it's frustration for you because you're doing so much work that you're not getting paid for, and because a client is just feeling rushed. And so your implementation rates simply go down. This whole process and this whole approach simply backfires. What I recommend is that you slow the whole process down. Remember, when a client pays you a flat fee for you to take the time to take them through your financial planning process, the more meetings you have, the lower the cost per meeting to the client. The less the client feels rushed, and the more rapport you're able to develop from the relationship. So simply take your time. Present things in a logical manner. Don't overwhelm them at each meeting. Go through Plan Presentation Part 1 in the first presentation meeting, the place where we present their retirement plan, their investment plan, and their education plan. And let that be the building blocks for Plan Presentation Part 2, the place where we present their life and living benefits and their estate planning. And, we incorporate tax into that as well. Doing too much too soon simply overwhelms your client into inactivity. I mean, imagine if you went through and took Plan Presentation Part 1, or what I call Plan Presentation Part 1 and Plan Presentation Part 2, and put them into one meeting. I believe, and I've seen it happen, clients would simply, their eyes would roll back in their head. They would be overwhelmed with information, and they just wouldn't be able to make a decision on anything because there's too much. There's too much going on. So put it into bite-sized pieces for them. So now the purpose of this section is really not to teach you how to present your financial planning. The purpose of this section is to educate you on how important it is when migrating to a fee-based financial planning business model, how important it is to incorporate insurance into your financial planning process, and to ensure you have a solid relationship with an MGA who will provide you with access to the solutions you'll need to implement for your clients. So by now, you really have a desire to migrate your business to a fee-based model. And I'll be showing you how to build your own financial planning process later when we discuss how to productize your financial planning process. You recognize that you need a solid investment solution to turn to. And now you can see the importance of where insurance solutions fit in. So these are the other two sides. We've got the fee-based side of your business where you need to productize your business and turn it into a process that you can sell to your clients. You need the investment solutions to turn to. You need to have high-quality investment solutions, which we've gone through and discussed, and how to form those. And you need to have very solid relationships on your insurance solutions. Now let's talk about the types and structures of insurance relationships you need in place in order to support the insurance side of your fee-based financial planning business. Now, if you already have a relationship with an MGA or a managing general agent, the company that provides you with the access to the various insurance companies, then this section will allow you to evaluate your existing relationship with that MGA. If you're new to the business or have not yet established a relationship with an MGA, then this will be a valuable section for you to review. Either way, you will, by the end of this section, be able to determine what a good relationship structure is with an MGA and be able to determine if what you have is right to support your business going forward. Now, there's simply one core reason for establishing a relationship with an MGA. It's just simply to gain access to an insurance company's products. MGAs will simply pool together the volume with other insurance agents, put in place a contract with an insurance company that commits to a minimum volume level with that company. So basically, it's just everybody pools together. That allows the MGA to say, listen, we'll deliver to this insurance company a certain minimum volume level, and in exchange for that, we're going to receive some compensation from the insurance company. So in exchange for the volume, the insurance company will pay the MGA a bonus on the first year commission generated by that volume. The MGA will then pay to each agent they bring on and that they contract with a percentage of that bonus. The spread, the difference between what they pay to the agent and what they keep, the spread is generally what the MGA will earn as their gross revenue. There's also a service fee that each insurance company will pay the MGA based on a percentage of the annual premiums being deposited at each insurance contract, but you can only gain access to that if you're an owner or part owner of the MGA. But basically then, we align ourselves with an MGA because on our own, we're simply not able to meet the minimum production required to establish a contract directly with each insurance company. And when an MGA aligns enough agents, they can contract with more and more insurance companies. So the product shelf that's available to each agent who's part of that MGA simply grows. So now we know why we need or would want to work with an MGA. So the real question is, what do we need from our MGA other than access to insurance companies' products? Well, at this point, we need to break things into two groups because I believe there are two distinct groups who will be establishing a relationship with an MGA, and each group requires drastically different things. So group one, this is really the new or newer insurance agent. Group two is what I consider the established or the veteran insurance agent. Now, I get a lot of emails from people asking me this one question. They say, listen, I'm new to the world of financial planning, but really resonate with the whole fee-based financial planning approach. However, since I'm new to the business, will following your methodology in transitioning to a fee-based financial planning model, will it work for me since I don't have a business to transition? I'm just starting from scratch. If I don't have any clients to migrate over, can I still follow this approach? Well, my answer to this question always goes something like this. What an opportunity you have. The biggest challenge a practicing planner who wants to transition over to a fee-based business model, their biggest challenge is how to transition over their existing clients. Starting from scratch is simply the quickest and easiest way to get up and running because you don't have any baggage you have to deal with. However, when it comes to insurance, you need to put yourself into one of two categories. So the category is either the new agent or the established agent. Now, the bottom line is that your goal is to always move into group 2. So now the difference between the two groups comes down to how much, we'll call it training, you need on how to identify the insurance needs of your clients. If you need assistance with this, you will want to look for an MGA who has programs and solutions available to you to assist you in learning how to identify needs. I mean, this is really the crux of the insurance side of the business. In this case, you're going to place less of an emphasis on your product options and payout options and more emphasis on your education. However, if you're really focused on following a fee-based financial planning model, I've found that it's a challenge to find an MGA who supports and understands the fee-based financial planning approach. They may say they do, but they really don't support it. They don't really get behind it because really what they need, remember where their revenue stream comes from, their revenue simply comes from the product sales. As a result, their sales training is more product focused, more quick needs focused, and more of the traditional sales strategy focused, where they're trying to shorten the sales cycle from meeting a prospect into getting a sale. So at the end of the day, I believe that if you're going to be following a fee-based financial planning business model, you may just want to jump into group 2 and get your product knowledge from the various insurance company wholesalers. So following this approach and sort of following the methodology that I'm teaching through this fee-based financial planning mastery process, that might allow you to sort of say, okay, I'm not even going to bother going into group 1, even if I am a rookie agent or even if I am new to the insurance side, I'm just going to go directly into group 2. And, it really, the learning curve is not that long. If you already know how to identify needs during your financial planning conversations, then really move your focus to group 2. And this is really the essence of it. Is group 1 is really all about how do I learn to identify the needs of my clients? How do I learn to identify those opportunities? If you already have that under your belt, or if you feel confident that muscle is being flexed enough where it's starting to build and you're getting more confident at that, then just move yourself into group 2. This is where you're going to find the biggest bang for your buck. Group 2 is all about finding an MGA who really keeps an eye on the strategies that truly help clients. This is where MGAs will focus more on what is really working for solving client problems today, what solutions are working, as opposed to what's the next product that this insurance company is bringing out and how can I sell that. So here is what you will look for in an MGA who supports this second group. First off, they're probably going to be a smaller MGA. The reason is that they are more focused on establishing a relationship with their members to really get an understanding as to what their needs are. You can't do this very well with a large MGA. All you can do in the large MGA is put together training courses and have big classroom sessions to sort of teach people the methodology that they're going to follow. But it's very difficult to really get into and understand each agent's or each member's business to really find out what's really working for them. Small doesn't necessarily mean small, though. Chances are pretty good that a quality small MGA, and when I mean small in number of members, will be recognized in the industry as a large producer, because although their members may be smaller in number, comparatively speaking, their volume of business will be huge on a per member basis. The MGA will have a keen interest in you and your business for the purpose of seeing how your business model will fit in with its other members. This is important because one of the greatest points of value I've ever gotten from an MGA was the quality of the community I became a part of. Every time I left an MGA, and I've actually left 2 MGAs in my history over the past 20 plus years, I left not because the MGA wasn't doing their job. It was because the MGA was being acquired by a larger firm, and the resulting community that I was being put into was not who I wanted to align myself with. Community, as you may have guessed, is extremely important to me. I am much more concerned with the who than anything else. Who are the other members in the MGA? Are they people I feel I can learn from and share with? I've found that when you get to the top levels of your game, the people around you at that level are more inclined to support and help than not. It seems that the lower levels of the spectrum, people feel that if they can steal your ideas, this will make them more successful. These are the groups you want to avoid. I talked about this briefly earlier when I said, as a business owner, you need to find ways of making the pie bigger as opposed to trying to take more of a smaller pie. In the lower levels of this spectrum, so to speak, the focus is on how can I steal market share? How can I take more of the pie that I feel exists? Whereas when you get to the higher levels, it's all about creating a bigger pie. And even if you maintain your percentage of that bigger pie, when the pie gets bigger, your slice gets a lot bigger as well. But you're doing it in conjunction with others. You're supporting others and they're supporting you. So, it's important to really take a look at who the community is. The community is probably the most important part of your search. So when you're looking around at MGAs and really find out who their other members are, don't just find out what the MGA is offering you. Find out who the other members are and how often they get together and what they do when they get together. I tell you, I never realized the power of a community until I started the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery podcast. This podcast really garnered a community of people who just resonated with the topic and really supported it. My giving back to this community has done two very important things. First, it's provided me with a forum where I can offer my experiences in return for some quality feedback and critique and comments from others. Opening myself up and sharing my experiences has brought more like-minded people to the community who are also willing to share, and as a result, has elevated everyone's game. It's also made me feel part of something that I never really felt part of before. And this feeling of support and inclusion keeps me coming back over and over and over again and sharing more and more of my experiences. It seems the more I share, the more others share, and the better everything gets. The second thing that my sharing into this community has done for me is it has really forced me to work on my business. And this is one thing that you find is that if you're going to start sharing with this community, and if you're going to be aligning yourself with an MGA community and start sharing, you're actually going to elevate your game. It's just going to happen because you don't want to share if you have a crappy business. If your business practices are just not up to snuff, it kind of makes you go the extra mile to do things the right way. So it kind of encourages you to go down the path of quality as opposed to the path of, a different path. As a result, my business performance has never, ever been more solid. And it really, I owe a lot to the fact that the more I share, it's forced me to really look at my business and make it as good as possible. So finding an MGA with the right community attached to it is paramount to your ongoing success with the insurance implementation side of your business. If you don't have much of an insurance business, then take the time to find an MGA who can provide you with access to a great community of great people, and you'll see your implementation rates soar, simply as I have. Building a fee-based financial planning practice relies on a consistency of process and practice. A fee-based financial planning practice needs to fire on all of its cylinders to run profitably. The first cylinder is your fee revenue. The second cylinder is your investment implementation and oversight revenue. The third cylinder is your insurance revenue. If you're not firing on all cylinders, you are just simply not running as efficiently as you could be. So by focusing on this part of your business and really learning about who can I align myself with, it really becomes critically important for you to make those alignments, make those decisions to find and become part of a community that gives you access to the insurance solutions that you need. And remember that by gaining that access to the insurance solutions, you can then gain all the product knowledge you need simply by dealing with the insurance companies directly through the channels that you now have available to you through the MGA. So learning about the product is not going to be difficult. what you want to be learning more about is what strategies and solutions are currently working to provide existing clients great quality solutions and implementation strategies and so on. So really focus on that. And by doing that, you're probably going to find that you'll be able to negotiate higher bonus levels. You're going to be able to negotiate higher revenue, which simply means by migrating your business over to a fee-based financial planning business, you'll just simply avoid the dreaded revenue dip. And I tell you, it's one thing that is probably the number one obstacle that planners who are wanting to migrate over to a fee-based practice, their biggest obstacle is, how do I make that leap from the revenue I'm receiving now transitioning over to where my revenue doesn't come in all front-end loaded? Well, the answer is by setting up your solution so you've got the diversified revenue streams. You've got the fee revenue, which is cylinder 1. You've got the investment revenue, cylinder 2. And you've got the insurance revenue, cylinder 3. And believe me, when you put it all together, the revenue per client that you start to generate goes way up. Your client satisfaction goes way up. Your client referrals go way up. It's just the right way to build your business. So with all this knowledge you now have, you now know how to choose the investment side of your business, how to choose the insurance relationships in your business. You need to just simply get out there and build yourself a better business. Hey everybody, just wanted to give you a bit of an update on what's going on my end or in my neck of the woods. First off, just wanted to say thank you for, or just to welcome the new members of the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group, the latest people who have joined in. I'll just give a quick shout out to you guys. So Philip Segal, and again, if I make a mispronunciation of your name, I do apologize. Marion Musty, Jeff Woolley, Francis Detroit, Chris Fulbright, Rick Gallant, Benjamin Waite, Jonathan Callum, Stephen Fox, and Hanif Ghulam Hussein. Sorry, Hanif, I do apologize on that. Anyways, just welcome everybody to the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group. I hope you're getting some value from the group. I know the communications and the conversations in there are really quite great. We've got some posts in there that just seem to go on and on and on with communication and comments back and forth from people. Really great community there. So really happy to have everybody there. And if you haven't already joined the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group, and you are a practicing financial advisor, financial planner, then definitely send me a join request and I'll go through your profile and just make sure that you are clearly indicated in your profile that you are actively participating in the industry as a practicing advisor or planner, and we'll make sure you get accepted in there. It's only for practicing advisors and planners. We're very strict about that. We don't want to let anybody else in because we want to keep the group as pure as possible. And we've had a lot of good comments from people who appreciate that fact, and it really gives a nice community for open and honest conversation sort of within the confines of that group. So anyways, it's all great. So definitely, if you haven't joined that, you definitely want to check that out. Email communication. We've had a lot of email communication from people who have recently come across the podcast and downloaded some of the content off our website and have gone through the website. And I do appreciate all the comments on the emails and the thank yous and whatnot. And the greatest thing you could do is in iTunes, you can go and leave an iTunes review. I would love for anybody who has comments on the show. Would love it if you could give an iTunes review. I'm not sure how iTunes really monitors things. I know, because we've got a lot of, or what I consider a lot of downloads, and we've got a lot of engagement in the community. But it seems like for whatever reason, other podcasts who have, less number of shows and who don't seem to have the engagement seem to get mentioned in the new and noteworthy or whatever section of there. So I was just kind of trying to find a way of getting into that. And I think it might have to do with some reviews. So if you've got some time and you want to go and leave an honest review, I would really appreciate that. Now, we ran into a bit of an issue, and this is one thing I've wanted to just bring to light for those of you who weren't aware of it, who maybe don't or who haven't downloaded any content off of our website, because we have an email distribution list, and on that distribution list is how we would notify you of a new episode of the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery podcast. Now, the downside of automation kind of reared its ugly head on me at the last show. We ran into an issue where we had a lot of problems with the feed. And for those of you who don't know what a feed is, basically the feed is whenever I add a new show to the website, there's a listing of those shows, and that's the listing that gets pushed to iTunes and to all the other podcast places. And that's where you can say, listen, here's the listing of the shows. And anytime we add a new listing, the feed will change, and it notifies those different properties. So iTunes, for example, it notifies iTunes that, hey, there's a new show here. And so iTunes then captures that show and lists it on their feed. So it's kind of like a pushing mechanism where it allows us to push. And if there's no change in the feed, then, when iTunes comes and scans it, it says, oh, the feed's the exact same as it was before. So there's no changes. So we don't need to add anything to the show. And that's how they kind of automate things. And what we did was we had our email notification set up so that whenever we would add a feed, and this was just more for ease of use, we set up a template that said that notified everybody on a certain list, which was the list for the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery website. We would notify everybody that there was a new episode available, and so every time we'd add the new episode, it would send out a quick notice. Well, one of the challenges we ran into was because we had some issues with the feed, and basically what we found out was that your feed, the size of the file, can get too large, and there's a maximum size that it's allowed to be. We somehow, and I don't quite know how, we exceeded that and got to the point where once it exceeds that, it can't update. And so we ran into a problem where we would list the show, but it wouldn't show up in iTunes, and it wouldn't show up in any of the other distribution sites. So we did some work, and I want to give a shout out to Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. He helped out quite a bit. Cliff was the one who I turned to originally just to give me some assistance in getting it all set up with iTunes. And he basically said, oh yeah, here's what the problem is. Go through, do this, this, and this, and it'll work. So if you are ever interested in doing a podcast, I want to give a shout out to Cliff. And there's if you do decide you want to join one of he's got a podcast A to Z, sort of a seminar, workshop, webinar type thing. Just use the code FeeBased, and that will give you a bit of a discount on the code as well, or on the registration to his site. But I wanted to just let everybody know. So Cliff was very instrumental in helping get this fixed. Problem was, when we got it fixed, it basically reset the entire feed. And so what happened was our Aweber account, which monitors our email distribution, it looked at that and said, hey, here's a whole new series of shows. Let's now notify everybody, because we basically had it set up that whenever there was a new show, notify them. Well, the problem was, fortunately, we had it set so it would only go back to the last 10 or so, but it basically went and it notified everybody of all of the last 10 feed posts, whether it be a show or whether it be a transcript. I think it was just the shows that it did. And all of a sudden, we sent out thousands and thousands of emails to my closest friends on their Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery podcast and the website, and it sent out thousands of emails. So if you were registered on that, you probably received a whole series of emails from me at one point. And that all happened on an automatic basis. It was more out of convenience that we set that up, but little did we know that when we reset our feed, it reset everything. So we had the gremlins working overtime, and they just pummeled you with notifications of the email. So we started getting a little bit of hate mail from people saying, hey, why are you spamming me? And this couldn't have come in a worse time for us. For those of you who don't know about the new AntiSpam Laws in Canada, basically, they're very strict, and they are getting very serious about anti-spam in Canada. So, right on the heels of that, I just decided to have anyways, the gremlins woke up and started to play a little havoc on me, and they just spam the shit out of everybody. So I do apologize for that. But it was interesting. I got so many, I was overwhelmed with the feedback after I sent out a notification saying, hey, everybody, sorry, here's what happened. And I had a lot of people say, hey, man, no problem. Shit happens. Whatever it is. And some people said, hey, you know what? I really appreciate the listing of all the emails that I got, because it was a reminder to go back and check out some of the great content that was there. One guy said, hey, you know what? If people got upset with that and they decided to unsubscribe from the list, then they're not worth being on the list anyways. And you know what? There's a lot of validity to that. So, I never look at an unsubscribe, a natural unsubscribe, as a bad thing. It just is, somebody who's just not interested in the content that I have, which makes it so that we can create our list, make it a much purer list. The problem was when I started, taunting people by really pummeling them with those emails. I do apologize. So if you're listening to the to this show and you were on the receiving end of that and you did unsubscribe, I would really encourage you to, if you are interested in it, I do apologize about that because you never received the notification as to what happened because you unsubscribed and I couldn't communicate with you via that because of the anti-spam laws. So anyways, long story short, that's what can happen. But I wanted to bring it up because for those of you who are using feeds and using automation, which is something that I do promote, you need to be aware of this. And this was something that happened to me, so I wanted to pass it on to you. So hopefully it doesn't happen to you. Now that you know about what the ramifications are, we've actually turned off our automatic notifications. So we're going to be manually sending out the email notifications when shows come available. But anyways, I just wanted to mention about that. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was driving down the road and suddenly I looked down at my phone and I got all these emails coming in saying, hey, what are you doing spamming, blah, 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 blah. And I had no way of getting to any sort of computer in order to shut it down. So it just went ahead and just spammed everybody. So anyways, kind of a funny thing when you look back on it. But while it was happening, it was like, oh my gosh. Anyways, I just got back from Disney. I've never been to Disney, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back to Disney. But anyways, we just got back from Disney. My two daughters were, as some of you may know, are competitive dancers, and were invited to participate in a Dance the World, I guess, program or whatever that takes place at Disney. And so they were able to be one of the dancers or two of the dancers in the Disney parade that went through Magic Kingdom and went from top to bottom, and that was kind of cool. And then they went and they did a performance on the Hollywood Studios stage. So not that I would normally go to Disney in July because it is extremely hot, but it was a lot of fun and I'm glad I did it. We did all the parks and we did all the tacky tourist stuff, and now I can say I've done Disney, and honestly, I have no need to go back. So I can check that off my bucket list. I'm planning on doing something that I haven't done for a while, but we're doing a really long, I consider it really long. We're going to do a really long bike ride. It's going to be about a 200K bike ride. We're going to do it over a couple days. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to be doing some more speaking in October. So I look forward to speaking to the Advocates group in Owen Sound. And I've got another potential that we'll be doing in the US. So anyways, long story short, if anybody's ever interested in having me speak for whatever reason on some of the topics that I talk about, if you want to have me speak at one of your events, then feel free to reach out and we can talk about the details of that. I'm trying to open up my calendar a little bit to some speaking engagements. I do quite enjoy the speaking engagements. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy speaking to the industry, but I do find that it's very, very rewarding on my part, and I get a lot of really interesting conversations, and I get to speak to a lot of really, really high quality people. So I'm really looking forward to opening up my calendar a little bit more to some speaking engagements if you're interested in having me speak. So reach out for sure. So anyways, so I hope you enjoy this show or enjoyed this show if you haven't listened to it yet. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
You've been listening to Scott E. Plaskett, a certified financial planner and industry veteran in the world of fee-based financial planning. Want free resources to help you build a better fee-based financial planning firm? Visit ilovefinancialplanning.com right now to register for Scott's Inner Circle email list, where you'll get front-of-the-line updates on the latest resources that are driving profits to Scott's fee-based financial planning practice. All of the resources are pulled directly from the highly acclaimed Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery Academy. Go now to ilovefinancialplanning.com. Build a better business and make more money with your fee-based financial planning practice today.